All right, so get ready to journey back to 1872. We're taking a deep dive into the classic Little Lord Fauntleroy.
Ah, Little Lord Fauntleroy.
Yeah, you know, the story of the American boy who becomes an heir to an English earldom.
Yes.
But we're going to really look at the 1980 film and ask, is the Earl's transformation believable? We're going to unpack that today, look at some of the production details, and then this weird, enduring popularity of the film in Germany. And you've got some great articles and trivia and even viewership figures.
Yeah. It's really amazing how a film can capture the imagination across cultures and generations.
Mm-hmm.
And Little Lord Fauntleroy is particularly interesting because it takes this classic tale of personal growth and then there's social commentary, all wrapped up in a really charming period piece.
Absolutely. So let's set the scene for people who might not know the story that well.
Right.
We have Cedric Earl, this young boy living a modest life in New York City with his mom, and suddenly their world changes when they learn that Cedric is the heir to this English earldom.
And not just any earldom. This is the Earl of Dorincourt, known for his wealth, his title, and, well, let's just say his personality.
Yeah, he's not exactly a warm and fuzzy guy.
Right.
And from what I've read, the Earl is really prejudiced against Americans, stemming back from when his son married Cedric's mother, who he disowned.
Exactly. So you can imagine how happy he is to learn that his heir is this American boy.
I can't imagine, yeah.
It really sets the stage for a fascinating clash of personalities.
You've got this old, gruff Earl steeped in tradition, and then you have this innocent, kind-hearted American boy.
Yeah.
It's either going to be a disaster or a heartwarming transformation.
Right.
So that's what we're going to look at. How convincing is the Earl's journey from this cynicism to this genuine affection for his grandson?
Yeah, and the film plays with that dynamic a lot, showing how Cedric's goodness really chips away at the Earl's exterior.
Okay.
But there are some critics who say that whole transformation is a little too abrupt, a little too sentimentalized.
Ah, okay. So how does the film handle this? Does it feel forced, or does it genuinely earn those heartwarming moments?
Right, well, let's look at a couple of scenes.
Okay.
How about that pivotal moment when Cedric first gets to Dorincourt Castle?
Okay, yeah.
And the Earl is clearly uncomfortable, almost repulsed by this boisterous American child. But Cedric, with his innocent charm, he completely disarms the Earl. Remember that scene where he insists on calling him dearest instead of my lord?
Oh, yeah. That's like he's challenging the aristocracy without even realizing it.
Exactly. And the film uses those little moments of connection to kind of show this thawing of the Earl's heart.
Okay.
But it's not straightforward. There are definitely setbacks, moments of anger, resentment, before the Earl really embraces his grandson and acknowledges his own bad behavior.
Yeah, it's almost like Cedric's holding up a mirror to the Earl.
Yeah.
And making him confront his prejudices and the walls that he's built up over all these years.
And that's where the debate comes in. Some people think it's believable because it's this gradual process of self-discovery prompted by Cedric's love.
Mm-hmm.
But then others think it's just too convenient, just too much of a Hollywood ending.
Yeah, I see that. So I guess there's room for interpretation.
Yeah.
Which makes it a little more complex than a simple fairy tale.
Exactly.
You know, because it's grappling with these themes of class and family and human connection.
Exactly. Speaking of connections, this film is a British production set in England.
Yeah.
But it's become a Christmas tradition in Germany.
Wait a minute. Germany?
Yeah.
Tell me more. I didn't realize that.
Every year since 1982, German television stations have been airing Little Lord Fauntleroy during the Christmas season.
Oh, wow.
And millions of people tune in to watch it.
Millions? That's incredible. Why do you think it resonates so strongly with German audiences?
That is a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
We have the data showing these high viewership figures.
Yeah.
But why? The sources talk about the heartwarming narrative, the charming performances.
Yeah.
And this visually stunning picture of 19th century England.
Right.
I think all of those things probably play a role. It's a story about family, about finding connection.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe those themes resonate more during the holidays.
Yeah, I can see that. It's really heartwarming seeing this grumpy Earl soften up and learn to love his grandson.
Yeah.
Maybe it taps into this universal desire for redemption and second chances that we think about a lot around Christmas.
I think you're right. And it's worth pointing out that the film was released in Germany just a few years after the country's reunification.
Oh, okay.
So maybe the story of a divided family finding unity resonated with people on a deeper level.
Ah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It adds this whole other layer to its cultural impact.
Yeah,
Maybe its popularity is tied to those specific historical and social contexts.
right. It's a good reminder that films don't exist in a vacuum. They're always interpreted based on the viewer's experiences and background.
Absolutely. Speaking of background, one of these articles, I was reading it and it mentions some incredible historical locations that they use.
Oh, yeah. The filmmakers went all out to find locations that would really transport viewers back to 19th century England.
Yeah, I mean, like Shepperton Studios, Belvoir Castle, Harlexton Manor. I mean, these places are practically dripping with history.
Yes.
And you know me, I always love a good behind-the-scenes look.
They weren't just chosen for their looks, though. They add a layer of symbolism to the film.
Oh, okay.
Like Belvoir Castle, known for its grandeur.
Yeah.
It's an aristocratic heritage. Visually, it just reinforces the Earl's social standing,
Yeah.
the world he lives in.
Right, but then you have Cedric's humble life in New York, which is a stark contrast to this opulent castle.
Exactly.
And it really adds to the film's exploration of social dynamics.
Yeah, the filmmakers clearly put a lot of thought into choosing those locations, how they would contribute to the story, the themes. They even put a classic American folk song in there. Oh, Dim Golden Slippers.
Wait, an American song in a British period piece? How did that happen?
Well, the score has a lot of Christmas carols, which really add to that atmosphere.
Right.
But they threw in this American tune, which is charming, but one of the articles pointed out that, oh, Dem Golden Slippers wasn't actually written until 1879.
Oh, so it wouldn't have existed in 1872.
Right. Little slip up.
Yeah, and there was also that newspaper dated January 24th, 1872, which doesn't quite line up with the Christmas time frame. Well, nobody's perfect. Little things can slip through the cracks.
Right.
It's like a little Easter egg for people paying close attention.
Right.
It wouldn't be a deep dive without those quirky details.
True.
I have to ask about this courtesy titles thing.
Oh, yeah.
That article mentioned Cedric's title, Lord Fauntleroy, but I'm still a little fuzzy on how it works.
Yeah.
Can you explain that for us?
So Lord Fauntleroy is a really good example of how this British peerage system uses courtesy titles.
Okay, so it's not as simple as inheriting your dad's title.
It's not that simple, no. See, British aristocrats can hold many different titles to reflect their lineage, their rank.
Okay.
So Lord Fauntleroy isn't actually Cedric's official title. It's kind of a placeholder
Okay.
until he inherits the earldom.
So while his grandfather is alive, he gets to use Lord Fauntleroy.
Exactly. It shows that he is the heir apparent. It's kind of a stepping stone title.
Gotcha. So when the Earl eventually,
Passes away.
passes away,
Yeah.
then Cedric would inherit that main title and become the Earl of Dorincourt.
Exactly. And the article even talks about how Fauntleroy is probably referring to a barony or a viscountcy, which is below an earl.
Wow, so there's this whole hierarchy.
Right.
It's like a secret code, the British aristocracy.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
So if we want to really understand these historical dramas, we've got to learn to decode all this.
It adds a whole other level of understanding, definitely.
Okay, so we've talked about the plot, the production, these little historical inaccuracies,
Yeah.
even little Lord Fauntleroy in Germany. What's next?
Well, next we can unpack this other fascinating aspect of the film.
Oh.
How it shows this clash between American and British values. How Cedric's presence really shakes up Dorincourt Castle.
Okay, let's get into that. So, Little Lord Fauntleroy isn't just this charming period piece.
Right.
It really digs into these complex themes, especially this clash between American and British values.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
How do they navigate this in the film?
Well, it's really fascinating. They kind of use Cedric as this cultural ambassador.
Okay.
You know, he's embodying this optimistic and egalitarian American spirit.
Uh-huh.
And then he arrives at Dorincourt Castle, and he's got a completely different understanding of social hierarchy
Yeah.
than what the Earl's used to.
Right, so he's like unintentionally disrupting centuries of tradition.
Yeah, just by being himself.
Wow.
You know, like back in New York, Cedric befriends Dick the shoe shiner and treats him with respect and kindness, just like he does everyone else. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter their social standing. And then he does that when he gets to England,
Right.
and it throws the Earl off.
It's almost like Cedric is saying, why are we treating people differently based on their jobs or their titles?
Exactly. And the film doesn't shy away from the tension that creates.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Earl's stuck in that British aristocracy class system.
Right.
And he doesn't understand Cedric's point of view. But then, slowly,
Yeah.
Cedric's nature and his ability to connect with everyone chips away at the Earl's prejudices.
Yeah. It's like Cedric is showing the Earl a different way to be.
Right.
To be more inclusive.
Yeah. And the film really highlights this through the visuals, too.
Oh, okay.
You've got Dorincourt Castle,
Yeah.
which is grand, formal, it represents the Earl.
Right.
And then they cut to these scenes of Cedric
Uh-huh.
interacting with villagers, with children.
Okay.
He's so warm and genuine with them.
Yeah, so he's bridging these two worlds.
Yeah, he's not even doing it on purpose, though.
Right. He's just being himself.
That's what I think is brilliant. It's not this heavy-handed message.
Right.
It just shows Cedric's way as a natural alternative to the Earl's.
It makes you wonder how this clash of values lands with people from different backgrounds.
That's an interesting point.
We talked about Germany, but I imagine the reception varies,
Yeah.
depending on a country's own history and social structures.
Right. You know, I wonder how people in countries with these more rigid social hierarchies would see it.
Yeah.
Do they think Cedric's challenging the Earl's authority?
Right.
Is that different in cultures where respect for elders and tradition is so important?
It makes you think about those universal themes.
Right.
Does Cedric's innocence and kindness go beyond culture?
Yeah.
Or is it seen through that cultural lens?
I think that's a great point. It reminds us that art is always open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Even a simple story like Little Lord Fauntleroy can make us think about social values.
Yeah. And cultural differences.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've talked about cultures clashing, how the film questions social norms.
Right.
But I'm still stuck on this courtesy titles thing.
Oh, yeah.
You explained how Cedric uses Lord Fauntleroy as a placeholder.
Uh-huh.
Can you give some more examples from other families? I'm trying to put this puzzle together in my head.
Sure. Okay, let's say there's a Duke of Willow Creek.
Okay.
His oldest son, the heir, would be the Marquess of Riverbend.
Okay.
So that Marquess title is the next highest in the family,
Right.
below the Duke.
Ah, so he gets to use Marquess while his dad's still the Duke.
Exactly.
Right.
It's recognizing his future role, but not taking away from the current Duke.
Gotcha. So, like, Prince William was the Duke of Cambridge.
Yeah.
His dad, Charles, was the Prince of Wales.
Perfect example.
And William didn't become the Prince of Wales until his father was king.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But what if the Marquess of Riverbend, this fictional heir, has his own son? Does he get a courtesy title too?
Absolutely. He might be the Earl of Oakhaven,
Uh-huh.
assuming the Duke of Willow Creek holds that title too.
So it's like a family tree, but with fancy titles.
Exactly.
Wow.
It gets complex, but it's all about that hierarchy
Yeah.
and how these titles show where a person fits in the family, in society.
This is so interesting.
Right.
Now I want to rewatch all those British period dramas
I know.
and see if I can find these titles.
Yeah.
It's like a secret code.
Really,
It unlocks another level to the story.
you'll be surprised at how much you missed.
So we talked about themes, history, production, but Little Lord Fauntleroy is also just really fun to watch.
It is.
What do you think makes it so appealing, even now?
I think it's a few things. First, the story itself is really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Redemption, forgiveness, good over greed.
Yeah.
Those themes resonate with everyone.
It gives you hope.
Right.
It reminds you that kindness matters,
Yeah,
especially around the holidays.
definitely. And then there's the casting.
Yeah, Ricky Schroeder as Cedric is so cute.
He really captures the innocence
Yeah.
perfectly. And Alec Guinness brings this depth to the Earl.
Uh-huh.
You believe his transformation,
Totally.
even when he's being grumpy.
And they have such great chemistry.
Oh, yeah,
You believe in their changing relationship.
you really do.
And the rest of the cast is so good, too.
Oh, yeah.
Colin Blakely, Eric Porter.
Uh-huh.
They all add to the warmth and humor.
Yeah, it's a really rich group of characters.
Like you're stepping into a storybook.
I know, right?
The costumes, the sets, the music.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I have to mention the music again. It fits the story so well.
Oh, it does.
Blends Christmas carols with original stuff.
It sets the mood perfectly.
I love how it all creates this experience, this feeling.
Yeah.
No wonder people still love this film.
It really is a classic.
It proves that a classic story, well told, it never gets old.
I agree.
You know, it's funny. We've really gotten into these deeper themes and all the historical context of Little Lord Fauntleroy. But it really is just a beautifully made film.
It is.
All those details, the performances, the way they capture that Victorian era, it's immersive.
Yeah, the filmmakers really put a lot of work into creating that visual and historical accuracy.
Like the costumes, oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
The lace, the jackets, Cedric's little velvet suit with the big white collar. It's also detailed.
They're not just pretty, though.
Right.
The costumes really help tell the story.
Okay.
They show the social hierarchy,
Yeah.
the differences between Cedric's American life and that British aristocracy. Like you could see it in his clothes, simple clothes in New York,
Right.
and then bam, fancy attire at the castle.
It's like a visual clue
Exactly.
about the world he's stepping into.
Yeah.
And the sets are amazing, too.
So they are incredible.
The castle, the streets of London, Cedric's apartment in New York. It all feels real,
They really transport you back in time.
like a time capsule.
Yeah.
And the cinematography, the way it's shot, the lighting, it all builds the atmosphere.
It really does.
There are some really powerful shots, you know?
Yeah, like when Cedric first arrives at the castle,
Yeah.
he's just this little figure in this huge hall.
Oh, yeah.
It shows how small he feels, how big this new world is.
It really sticks with you.
And those close-ups on Cedric and the Earl.
Oh, yeah.
You see their faces change as they connect more.
That's where the acting shines through.
Yeah,
Ricky Schroeder says so much with just a look.
he does.
And Alec Guinness, he's a master of those subtle emotions.
Yeah, you really believe in the Earl's change.
It's heartwarming.
It's good filmmaking.
Yeah.
When the story, the actors, the visuals, the music, when it all comes together, that's how you make something special.
And Little Lord Fauntleroy is definitely special.
It is.
It's still captivating people. It's a classic story, told well, and it never gets old.
It really doesn't.
And that's it for our deep dive. I hope you enjoyed it.
Me too.
We explored a lot, from those fancy British titles to the film's popularity in Germany.
Yeah, we did.
It shows that even a simple story can lead to so many discoveries and discussions.
Absolutely.
So keep the conversation going. Watch the film again. Read those sources. Maybe do some research yourself.
Who knows what you might find.
And don't forget, when you watch those British period dramas, look out for those titles.
Yeah, it's like a secret language.
That gives you a whole new understanding.
You'll see the story differently.
Happy watching, everyone. And until next time, may your life have a little bit of that Little Lord Fauntleroy magic.
I like that.